Hello, and welcome to the MMA Mic Drop Podcast. My name is Jade Bunky, and I'm joined by the one and only MMA Milo, who is not only an emerging MMA analyst, but also one of the nation's top up-and-coming youth surfers. In today's episode, we're going to break down everything that's about to go down at UFC Sacramento, Hernandez versus Rodrigues. Milo, this is a really good fight night card. It features two legit top 15 guys in a really compelling matchup. It has some really interesting prospects on this card. I think there's going to be action all, from the bottom of the card, from the early prelims all the way through the main event. How would you rate this card, and what fight outside of the main event are you looking forward to the most?
I would give this card a B, and I'm looking forward to Reinier de Ridder versus Roman Dolidze.
Awesome. Yeah, I'd probably go a little higher. I'd give it a B plus. I think it is really, really compelling. In particular, I like some of those prospects. I am interested, and let me take a quick look on who outside of the main event. The Chris Padilla fight is pretty fascinating. I want to see Anthony Wint. I watched him on the Contender Series. I mean, he's undefeated. The dude hits about as hard as you can possibly hit. And he just fought about a week and a half ago, and he's going to fight again after his win off the Contender Series. So I'm pretty amped on that. So, let's get right into it. Anthony Hernandez versus Gregory Rodrigues. What we're going to do is we're going to start at the top. We're going to work our way down and cover every single fight. Hernandez, he is 15-3. He was on that incredible 8-fight winning streak before he came up against Sean Strickland. He is a dog. He is tough as nails. He's not always dominating his fights. Sometimes he's got to weather the storm, but he has insane cardio. He is absolutely relentless, and he has taken on Gregory RoboCop Rodrigues, who is 19-6. Again, both guys are top 15 fighters. What are the rankings for these ones, Milo?
Anthony Hernandez is number 6, and Gregory Rodrigues is number 11.
Yeah, and I think we're looking at the media rankings. So if you're looking at the AI rankings, it might be a little bit different. But two top 15 guys. I mean, Gregory Rodrigues, he is. He has really good power. He has incredible jiu-jitsu, but he does hold his chin up a little high. I think he's going to be dangerous in the first early rounds or in the early rounds. But I think as the fight wears on, Fluffy's going to do what Fluffy does. He's going to wear on you, and I think he's going to probably lock up a submission late in the fourth round. Give me Anthony Hernandez by submission, and let me get the odds for you real quickly. And then, Milo, I'm curious to see what your breakdown is. I have these odds at Fluffy is a minus 166. Gregory Rodrigues is a plus 140. I think that's appropriate. Milo, give me your thoughts on this fight. What do you think is going to happen?
I think Gregory Rodrigues has the power to knock anybody out at middleweight, but I think Anthony Hernandez is going to take him down in the first round and submit him.
In the first round?
Yeah.
Wow. So you don't think Rodrigues' jiu-jitsu is going to be a problem for him?
I don't really think so.
Too much control for Fluffy.
Yeah.
He's probably the better wrestler.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think Rodrigues doesn't make the best decisions where Fluffy always fights to his best advantage. He's a very smart fighter inside the cage. What do you think? Okay, so what do you think of Gregory Rodrigues' nickname? People love it. I think it's lame. I don't get why people
RoboCop.
like it. What do you think?
I think it's fine. I think there's worse names out there for sure.
Okay, so you're kind of neutral on that. You're not that because people love it. I always thought that was one of the lamest nicknames. What do you think, Fluffy? Though, I think that's an.
I think it's pretty
nickname.
funny.
I think that's an amazing nickname.
I feel like he's more known for his nickname than his actual name.
Yeah, because everybody tries to have, or a lot of fighters try to have these intimidating nicknames, and his is just Fluffy. I think that's awesome. All right, talk to me about the co-main event, Vitor Petrino versus Serghei Spivac. I have number 6 versus 11. I don't know which, or actually break this fight down and tell me what the media rankings are.
It's Serghei Spivac is a plus 145 and Vitor Petrino is a minus 170. Spivac has been in the UFC for a longer time, and I think I'm gonna go with the newer guy. I'm gonna go Vitor by a second round knockout.
Yeah, Vitor's massive. I mean, he's 14-2. Spivac is 18-6. And when you really look at their styles, I mean, Spivac is a wrestler. He's pretty slow and plodding, but he has good control. He can submit you. I think he's reached a ceiling in how far he can go in the UFC. I think he's a legit top 15 guy for heavyweight, but he's not on that top tier. And I'm just going to look at his losses. Yeah, his losses to Gelton Almeida, Acosta, Cyril Gahn. I mean, but he has wins over, I'm looking at this right now, Derek Lewis, Tybura. I think he's solid. I think now Vitor Petrino is interesting because he was a light heavyweight. He would come in incredibly jacked. And when you look at these fighters that move up a weight class, particularly heavyweight, right? Heavyweight, because you can go all the way to 265, and you're wondering, how will this guy fare? Does he have the frame for it? This dude is jacked at heavyweight. He comes in, he weighs in around 250, and he is an absolute tank. He's on a 3-fight winning streak, so he's won every fight, in the heavyweight division. But we saw him, he did face some adversity against Asplund in his last one. He hasn't fought the best competition yet at heavyweight. And, I don't know how good he is at heavyweight. I think he is top 15 level. Is he in that top tier? I don't know, but I think he's going to be too much for Spivac. I think, he's 28, so he's still getting better. Give me Petrino by third round TKO. All right, Milo, who's fighting before that? I think this is the fight in which you're most interested.
Reinier de Ridder versus Roman Dolidze. De Ridder is a minus 375 and Dolidze is a plus 290. I think De Ridder's still definitely a contender at the light heavyweight division.
Oh wow, okay.
Even though he lost Brawley, but
so you think moving up is going to help him? I mean, dude is massive.
Yeah. I think he has good on the ground, really good on the ground. He has good kickboxing, and I think he's gonna light Roman Dolidze up for 3 rounds, but win by decision.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, I like your take there, and it's kind of interesting because you have 2 former middleweights both moving up to light heavyweight. I think you're right. It is a really good move by De Ridder. I think he was too big. I think he would gas way too easily. He was a little slower at middleweight, but he has exceptional grappling, good control. He's got those nasty knees, good clinch work. We saw what he did to Bo Nickel. Sorry, Keith Schilling, if you're watching, because I know Bo Nickel is your second favorite fighter. Roman Dolidze, he's an elite level Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu practitioner, and he had good power. The problem is he has been completely washed for quite some time. And let me just look at this right now. Yeah, he's 38 years old. He's 15-5. He has 11 finishes. He's on a 2-fight losing streak, but 2 good guys. The problem is if you go back, some of the fights that he's won, over the last couple of years, he hasn't looked that good. And I think De Ridder is going to be way too much for him. And I think at some point he's going to, I think he's just going to wear him down to such an extent that he's going to put him in a compromising situation. And I think De Ridder is going to sub him. Give me De Ridder by third round submission, and to really, announce himself to the light heavyweight division. All right, what do we have before that?
We have MarQuel Mederos versus Mason Jones. MarQuel is a plus 235, and Mason Jones is a minus 290. I think I'm going to go Mason Jones by second round knockout.
Yeah, a lot of people are hyping Mason Jones. A lot of people like Mason Jones, and there's a lot to like, right? I mean, he's tough as nails. All his fights are exciting. He has a good record too. He's 18-2. MarQuel Mederos, he's 11-1-1, and his loss was I'm sorry, that was a draw against Chris Padilla, which I think Chris Padilla actually won that fight. Mason Jones, though, when I look at his record, when I break it down, I mean, he's on a 3-fight winning. Actually, let me stand corrected. He's on a longer winning streak than I thought. He's on a 7-fight winning streak, but an old Jeremy Stevens, to me, that doesn't even matter. Oki, I always thought he was a little overrated. Sola's pretty decent. It hasn't been the strongest strength. It hasn't had in terms of strength of schedule. It hasn't really been the best. I think he's a little overrated. I think he's a fun fighter, but I think he's just an average fighter. I think Mederos is a little above average, and I think Mederos is gonna. I think he's gonna piece him up. I think Mason Jones, is too hittable. And give me Mederos by a decision, a pretty fun decision. Mason Jones will have his moments, but yeah, Mederos by decision. All right, who do we have before that?
We have Carli Judice versus Jeisla Chaves. Carli is a minus 500 and Jeisla is a plus 375. I'm gonna go Carli by decision.
Yeah, I like that too because she pushes a pace. She throws high volume. She's got good striking. She's 6-2. Chaves is 8-0. So it's always interesting when you see an undefeated fighter. How good is this person, right? And it's always hard. Is this her UFC debut? Let me just double check here. I think this is. Oh no. What did I think it was? Okay, no, this is her second fight in the UFC. She had a split decision win in her debut. I'm going Judice as well. I think, and I think she's going to find the finish. I think she's going to find the finish in the third round. I think the volume is going to be too much for her. So give me Judice by third round TKO. All right, Milo. Bonus points if you can pronounce the last name of one of these fighters, or even both of them.
All right, Kennedy Nzechukwu versus Shamil Gaziev.
All right, so
I'm gonna go Shamil Gaziev by first round double fist Hulk smash.
Hulk smash! Wow! All right,
guy's a tank.
He's a tank, but not a well built tank. Oh, dude, he's
well built.
Huh?
He's pretty well built, dude.
He's well built on the permanent Patty Pimlet diet.
Yep.
He just doesn't. He never cuts weight. So this is kind of an interesting fight. So I think the interest is, so Gaziev is 14-3. Kennedy is 14-6. Kennedy used to be a light heavyweight. He's moved up. He's found some success at heavyweight. Some success, I shall say. He won his first two fights against very low-level fighters. He lost to Walter Walker. There's no shame in that. Walter Walker is way better than we all thought he was. And then he had a draw against Buchecha, but he was winning that fight. It was a point deduction is the only reason why it's a draw. But he's still not high-level heavyweight. I don't think he'll ever be in the rankings. Wait, actually, is Gaziev still in the rankings? Can you check?
No, he's not.
Oh, okay, good. Yeah, because he's fallen off a cliff. And the problem with Gaziev, so, he's 36 years old. He's 14-3. He's coming off back-to-back losses against good competition, but he's looked terrible in his wins. And the problem with him is, so he's actually a really good athlete. I think he's a legit athlete, an incredibly talented person. He took some time off fighting at some point in his career. I believe he was on the volleyball national team. I mean, he's an all-around great athlete, and he's quick. He's a complete mixed martial artist, but he's fat and sloppy now. And I don't think he takes his career very seriously, because I think this is one of those guys that on raw talent could beat a lot of guys in heavyweight. That's what we saw when he first came onto the scene. Is that. Again, his first fight was Martin Boudet. I mean, he's not that big of a talent, but he, was able to, put him out in the second round. But by that time, he's already like 33, 34, years old. And you see him just aging right before our eyes. And because of that, I think Kennedy, because he's so much quicker on his feet, and because Shamil has Sloan, despite having fast twitch athleticism given his size, I think Kennedy's going to put a pace on them. I hope he's going to put a pace on them. He should. Otherwise, this could be a battle of low IQs, if they just stand around and stare at each other. Kennedy, what's Kennedy's reach? Should have a reach advantage, I think.
Let me find it.
Because what I think is going to happen, I think he's going to jab him up, pump out that jab. I think he's going to be quicker on it, lighter on his feet, and I think he's, Gaziev might clinch up a lot against the cage a little bit from time to time, but I think when they break free, Kennedy's going to put him out. I think he's going to put him out. What's that?
I can't find his reach. 1 sec.
No problem. Kennedy, I think, is going to put him out. Give me third round TKO for Kennedy.
His reach is 83 inches.
Kennedy, okay, and so what's Shamil's? Definitely not 83 inches.
Okay.
I don't think he has a bad reach either. I just think Kennedy has this like huge reach.
78 inches.
Yeah, so I think he's going to stay at. I think he's going to stay at range. He's going to piece him up, and third round TKO. All right, Milo. Who's what are the odds on this?
For the Kennedy fight.
Yeah.
Kennedy's a plus 115 and Shamil's a minus 140.
Okay. All right. Who's next on this?
We have West Schultz versus Jackson McVey. Schultz is a plus 145 and McVey is a minus 175.
Yeah, I think
both these guys look pretty primal. Like, pretty sick.
Yeah.
Maybe they eat raw meat.
Maybe they eat raw meat. There you go. Yeah.
I'm gonna go Schultz by a second round submission.
You think it's his wrestling advantage?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, he's a pretty good wrestler. I don't think he's a good fighter. I think he's a good wrestler. He has a D3 wrestling background, and he just hasn't looked good in the UFC. But I mean, neither has McVey. McVey's going to be a lot bigger. I think he has the bigger frame. I think he has a more complete game. I think he'll be at a slight disadvantage on the wrestling, but I'm going to say McVey. I say McVey gets it done. I think he's going to piece up Schultz, and I think he's going to hurt him early and give me McVey by first round TKO. All right, this next fight is absolutely insane. Chris Taco Padilla versus Nasrat Haqparast. They're both it's a pick'em minus 110. Milo, what do you think is going to happen in this fight? I think this fight's actually insane.
I'm kind of torn, but I think I'm leaning toward Chris Padilla by decision.
Yeah, I mean, and I like that you're torn because this is a legit fight. I'm going to just click into his wins because he was on a crazy win streak up until his last fight, which was a draw, which most people thought he won. I think it was an 8-fight win streak. Let's see what. Yeah, he was on a 7-fight win streak, so this would be 8 in a row. He should be on an 8-fight win streak, and the thing is, he just wins, right? And I like his fighting style. He's tough as nails. He moves forward. He gets in your face. He has a pretty good clinch game. He has really good power. And when you look at the Kevin Gastelum lookalike in Nasrat, I mean, he's he has good athleticism. He has quick hands. He throws good volume. He was on a pretty good, solid winning streak before he ran into killing Salkild. He got, just destroyed in the first round. But Salkild looks to be a legit top 5 guy. So I don't put, much into that. His other 2 losses, before his win streak were to Bobby King Green back when, Green was looking a little more spry and a little quicker, although he's looked pretty good of late. And then Dan Hooker before that. This is a good fight. This is a hard one. I think give me Chris Padilla by a very entertaining back and forth, really tough split decision. It's my first split decision pick I've ever done. So we'll see if I'm right or terribly wrong. All right. Who do we have before that?
We have Gage Young versus Stan Dorsainvil.
Yeah,
Dorsainvil. Young is a minus 125 and Dorsainvil is a plus 100. I think I want to go with Gage Young by a first round knockout.
Yeah. First round knockout. Gage Young. I mean, he's a solid UFC fighter. I believe he's 2-1. His first. Who did he lose first? Let me just click in here. He lost his first fight, but I remember it was somebody good. Let me just see. Evan Elder, solid. And then he has, 2 solid wins after that. His loss on the Contender Series was against Salkild, and he went the distance, right? And then Just see it. So yeah, he's a good fighter. Now we don't know much about Dorsainvil. I mean, he's just 5-0. He's completely unproven. He is 26, so he is at that age where he's probably improving every day. He has good aggression. He has good athleticism, and I think he's going to get it done. Give me Dorsainvil by second round TKO. And what do we have before that?
Um, we have Jamall Emmers versus Lerryan Douglas. Um, Emmers is a plus 310 and Douglas is a minus 390. I'm gonna go Douglas by second round knockout.
Yeah, I mean, and Douglas hits hard. We saw. I think he had was it his UFC debut, or has he had two fights in the UFC? No, just that one against Arosa, and he knocked him out in the first round. And let me just see. Yeah, out of his 14 wins, he has 11 finishes, 8 of which have come by TKO or KO. He's on a good winning streak. Let me just count: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He's on a 6-fight winning streak. He looks solid now. Jamall Emmers, he's an all-around. He's good everywhere. I don't think he's great anywhere. He's a solid UFC fighter. I believe he's 5-4 in the UFC. Pretty boy, that's his nickname. That's a terrible nickname. He has UFC wins. So I said he's 5-4 in the UFC. He has had good wins on the regional scene. He has a win over Corey Sandhagen on the regional scene, I believe. Yeah, and then he has some other UFC fighters that he's defeated on the regional scene. So he's a solid fighter. I think this is a good test for Douglas to see where he's at. But Jamall Emmers is 37 years old. He has been put out before, and give me Douglas by first round KO. All right. The fight for which I'm looking forward the most outside of the main event, Anthony Wint versus Terrance Chatman. Wint, he is 7-0. Chatman is 5-1. What are the odds?
Terrance Chatman is a plus 650 and Anthony Wint is a minus 1000.
Wow.
I'm gonna go Anthony Wint by a first round knockout.
Yeah, I mean that's a good call. This dude has earth-shattering power. I mean, he had a glancing blow on the Contender Series, and he put him out. Let's see if all his wins are in the first. Oh no, he's not all are in the first round. He has had one fight that went to the second, and then two. One was a split decision, and the other was a third round TKO. I mean, this dude has crazy power. He's absolutely jacked. Now he's not big for the heavyweight division. I think this has his weight listed as 234, so he's not too small, but he's not one of the bigger heavyweights. The thing is, this dude is just jacked. He's lightning fast, and I think he's going to get a first-round knockout. Give me Wint by first-round knockout, and watch the hype go through the off the charts. All right, opening the card, Shanelle Dyer versus Elise Reed. 7-1, Shanelle Dyer, 8-5. Elise Reed, what do you think is going to happen?
I'm gonna go Shanelle Dyer by decision.
Yeah, she's coming in with a little bit of hype. She's a good kickboxer, has some pretty decent power. Let me see what her finishes are. Yeah, she has 5 finishes out of her 7 wins. So I mean, she has a very good finishing rate for a 115 pounder. Elise Reed is a very slow, average fighter. I don't think she's going to give her anything except being able to take a beating for about 2 rounds. Give me Dyer by second round TKO. That's all we have today. Milo, do you have anything else?
Drop the mic.
We're out.